if a company is asking you to do an animation test, should you do it or not? Everybody, this is Alessandro. Welcome back to my channel. So many times I see these debates online where people are arguing if you should do a test as animator, before joining a company or not. Some people say it's okay, some people say it's a scam, companies try to get like work for free, stuff like that, right? So I wanted to give my opinion and view here about this topic. So because it's obviously very different case by cases, right now I'm gonna split in two categories. So for people who never had a job, who are students, they are studying animation and they are trying to get their first job, and people who already have experience in the industry, right? Because I think there's different topic, different solution and stuff like that, right? So let me get straight to this one. So if you are a student and you just finished school, you build your demo reel, even if your demo reel is awesome, in my opinion, you should definitely do a test. And here is why. So you have to understand that on the other side, there is another person that it doesn't know you. They might see your demo reel and everything, but doesn't know who you are, doesn't know the history, how did you make this demo reel, right? Maybe you spend 3 months to do each shot, right? Which is completely useless in a working environment because nobody's gonna give you such amount of times, right? Maybe you had a mentor who follow you step by step and helping you to improve every single poses until your shot looks awesome. Well, guess what? When you're gonna work in a job, even as a junior, your lead, your supervisor is not gonna be so much hands-on and guide you, spending so much time just with you to get the shot clean, right? They're gonna expect you to be a lot more independent, right? And they have no way to know how did you do this demo. Sure, they might ask you during the interview, but guess what, guys? People might lie, right? It's very easy to lie. So you cannot always have 100% guarantee if what people are saying is true. All right, especially this topic about the speed, it's something I constantly repeat to all my students. It's great that you're building a demo reel, your shot looks good, but if you're spending a couple of months or more for each shot, well, that is not a real reflection of your skill, because probably you still need a lot of help. So learning animation, learn the skill, learn the basic is great, but must be a point when you're studying animation, when you're learning, where you need to get faster and faster. If every time you do a shot and it takes you 2 or more months, right, obviously you're not ready to get a job. I can't express this enough, how important it is. People underestimate it. They think as long as they have a good demo reel, it's good enough. One of my early students got burned about this because I'm telling you what, he was building a demo reel with me. He only did a couple of shots. They were looking good, but it was taking him very long. And so what happened that during that time, company were overhiring, right? I think they were desperate for people to create content, and the company who hired him didn't ask him to do a test. And so what happened is that he moved from spending a couple of months to do a shot with my guidance, so now do it completely by on his own, and he had maybe like 6-7 days, 2 weeks to do a shot. And I can guess what, guys? He failed, and after 3 months, the company laid him off because they didn't let him pass the probation period. So it was a lose-lose situation. And this happened because the company didn't ask him to do a test. So I think, for my opinion, was a mistake, but I understood that they were needed urgently to hire people, right? And another things you guys want to keep in mind, one of the reasons why you need to be fast is because when they're gonna give you a test, after they look at your demo reel, after they do the interview with you, right, they're gonna give you a couple of weeks, maybe actually 1 week most of the time. 95% of the time they're gonna give you 5 days to do a test, and they're gonna expect the same quality, or at least very close, or what you have on your demo reel, because they understand as a student you might receive some help to do the demo reel, right? They understand that. But guess what? If you be spending again a couple of months with your mentor doing that, what do you think you're gonna achieve entirely by yourself in 5 days? So realistically, you're not gonna achieve the same quality, and that's why a test is needed for them, and also, in my opinion, is needed for yourself as well, to see where you stand. Okay, you've been studying for a year with your mentor and everything, which in my opinion a year is very little, but what about now can you do entirely by yourself? Can you do something, when you're studying, when you're just entirely by yourself, right? That's one of the things I do when I work with my students. So we do 3-4 shots together. At some point I told them, hey, we need to accelerate the speed of execution. I want to see a point where I give you less and less feedback and you are more and more autonomous. That's the confirmation that you're learning and you're not just copy what your mentor or teacher is telling you to do, right? That's the difference between just doing your homework and be a creative as an artist, right? So absolutely, as a student, you should always do a test, and you should not be afraid, like a company scamming you or whatever. Use your own rig if you're afraid of something like that. If you're afraid that they might steal your work to use it in their own production, then ask them to use your own rig, so it's something that they cannot use in production, right? So you shouldn't be afraid. If you are working for a good company, they will never do something like this, because it can only brings trouble, right? But that's for students. What about for people who are working? So a couple of things here. If you've been working only for a few years, and again, maybe you have a working demo reel that is not that strong, because maybe you work on a short project, sometimes you work in pre-production or early stage, and you didn't have the chance to polish your animation, chances are your demo reel is not gonna look that good. Or sometimes how it happens to me, in 2 years I didn't have anything good and strong enough to put on my demo reel. My student demo reel was still stronger, right? So in these cases, I think it's still okay at the very beginning of your career to do some tests. It can also happen that you're working to a completely different company. Maybe you've been working on something more first-person shooter, for example, and now you're applying on a company who does third-person action combat, right? And maybe you don't have anything in your demo reel that kind of resembles their style, right? And so in that case, I think doing a test is still doable, because the company might say, okay, it seems like you have a good skill, but I don't know if you can pull it off what we are looking for here, right? They might have some doubts, right? So now that I clarified this one, let's go to the topic when you have 5, 6 or more years of experience, all right? People asking you to do a test. Like in general, I would say no, because you have enough background here to prove your skill, right? Says, hey, you want my demo reel? You want to see my test? My demo reel is the test. I've been doing this for 6 years. You can see the quality I'm able to do. Of course, the demo reel needs to be strong, guys. Let me skip this one. Let's skip the obvious, right? And then if you don't believe me, you can contact my previous company, my leads, my other colleagues, right? And they will vouch for me. They will tell you, hey, this is actually the animation done by Alessandro. Of course, that's also why it's very important that you behave well when you work in a company, because if you don't have a good relationship with your previous colleagues, right, and a company called them to ask them about you, they will not talk good about you. That's the reality, right? So you always want to maintain good relationships, right? However, also here, there are exceptions. When you're looking for a job, it depends on what position you are. Are you in a position of leverage, or they are in a position of leverage? What do I mean by that? Well, for example, before going back to Singapore, I was looking for a job. I had a strong demo reel, and when I applied for a demo reel, I had 8+ interview, right? I went quite well, and I have multiple offer. I think I have more than 6 or 7 offer right on the table, and I was negotiating with most of them. And so when a company, even if it was a big company, they asked me to do a test, I said, first of all, I'm not going to do my test. I told them my demo reel is the test, guys. If that's for you is not enough, I'm sorry, I told them. And I also told them I'm already in contact with multiple company here, so I'm not gonna spend 5 days now to do a test, and I need to give them an answer. I don't want to delay for so long, right? And I told them this, but it wasn't a strategy. I wasn't lying, like I wasn't trying to be cocky and everything. It was just the truth. At the moment, I was in a leveraged position. I already did 6 interviews. 2 already give me an offer, quite good. I was waiting for few more. And then I have this company ask me for a test. I told them, no chance, I'm sorry, I'm gonna do the test for you. And at the end, they decide to move to the next step of the interview. Says, okay, Alessandro, I understand your situation. You have a strong portfolio, blah, blah, blah. Let's skip the test, they told me, right? They were reasonable. It might not happen. They might say, you know what, for us, a test doesn't matter what is your level. It's something you have to do. And then you have to be okay to lose this chance. That's why I said you need to have leverage, right? Because when you take this chance to say, company, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do a test for you, you need to know that there is a 50% chance that you might lose entirely this opportunity. They might not like it and move with someone else, right? And so that's why I said, do you have leverage or not? In that cases, I had leverage. I made my calculation. I could say, okay, so guys, sorry guys, I'm not going to do it, right? I was ready to lose this opportunity because I have already other concrete opportunity lying up. But what about your situation? Well, for example, right now there is a lot of people looking for a jobs, and there is not enough job for everybody. So guess what? Maybe you send 50 curriculum, 100 curriculum, and that's the only company who reply to you and is asking you to do a test, and you have no other options. Well, maybe in that case you don't have any leverage, and they have the leverage to ask, to look for the best people who are willing to do the test. So maybe in the case, sadly, even though you have years of experience, you don't have the leverage, and maybe there is nothing you can do. Are you willing to walk away with only that chance that you have? That's how the market works, guys. The one who has more leverage can make the demands, right? It's always like this in every market, all right? There is another chance also where you might have to do a test. Let me give you, I already mentioned this before, but I want to reinforce this one. Now, imagine that you've been working for 6 years, working on motion capture. Maybe even you have keyframe animation done on your portfolio, but it's all extremely photorealistic, borderline rotoscoping, right? And now you have to work on a company that is doing something very different, very cartoony, exaggeration, strong poses, more anime style, or in general a lot more cartoony. And the lead is gonna say, well, your reel looks strong, but we are looking something with that completely different style. They don't know if you can pull it off. It's completely pointless that you tell them during the interview, oh yes, I'm able to do it, I will apply myself, I learn. It's not guaranteed. A lot of people, they do very well, extremely well with one style, and they suck completely with another style. Some people are able to adapt, other people not. The company doesn't know, so you do have to understand this one. Maybe they have 20 applicants, your demo reel is strong and everything, but doesn't fit their style. Maybe there are other people, other applicants that they have a demo reel maybe less strong than yours, but their style is a lot closer to what they're doing, right? And so maybe visually they can already judge if they're able to pull it off the style, right? So there is already a good chance that they're gonna say no to you, they're gonna put a pass on you. But if they decide to give you a chance to do a test, in that case, you might want to do it. And again, it could be also for yourself. Are you able to prove that you can do like a more cartoony shot and something completely different you've done for 10 years, right? Maybe this is also you want to consider. Maybe if you're building a demo reel, you don't want to have a demo reel just showing one style of animation entirely for a minute. Maybe you want to have a couple of shots that shows completely different style. Maybe something you want to think about it, okay? So guys, as you can see, there is always a multiple option here. It's not black and white, you should do it or not do it, right? It's always different cases, right? So this is something you want to consider. You want to make all this consideration. I hope this video now can help you to understand a little bit better and understand also the other side, the other party who's asking you to do a test, right? What people often don't consider, that you think you are the only person sending a demo reel. Again, they might receive another 50 people apply for the same job, and again, maybe they ask the test to everybody. Maybe most of them, they're willing to do the test, and you say no, they're gonna pass on you. Maybe your demo reel is exceptional, your skill is exceptional, and they really want you, and they're willing to skip for the for the test, right? So you want to keep all those things in mind. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and see you next time. Ciao.